welcome to today's I2I interview. Today I have Andreas Beutel from Dresden, Germany, my home country. And today I want to talk with him about the heart. Yeah, welcome, Andreas.
Welcome, Heike.
Thank you.
Glad to meet you here online.
Yes. So Andreas, he's been working for the last 25 years actually founded his project, which is called the Pythagoras Institute. It has already a really amazing name, all connected to geometry and, obviously the ancient Greeks. Do you want to tell us a little bit about, how did you end up doing geometry, and what's your original background? What's your story?
I was born in the former GDR and started with interests in science or the science behind science. So I met Tesla, Schauberger, and all these people, and I read about the problems with normal physics. And I came up to university to study physics. And parallel with this, I started to study harmonics and old mathematics, old geometry. I stumbled about the idea of the harmony of the universe and all these people, Pythagoras, Kepler, and so on, and harmonical music. And with all this stuff, I realized, I will never find my home in normal science at university. And we have some famous institutes here in Dresden, like Fraunhofer and Goethe Institute, and Helmholtz and Max Planck, and so on. And I wanted to start my own business, and I called it Pythagoras because of the harmonical aspect or the many other topics that are connected to Pythagoras. Besides being a mathematician, he's been also a mystic people studying occult science or founding occult science and connecting to Egypt and so on. And so all this came together in this name Pythagoras Institute, which I'm now doing for 25 years at Dresden.
Yeah, it's really amazing. I mean, I think most of us, at least when I remember school, I remember the Pythagoras theorem. I mean, we all learned that in school. So what is it that most people miss when they just see it as, okay, that's the Pythagoras theorem, that's it? Why is there so much more behind it? What's the,
It's part of a lineage, you can say, with wise people or with mystery schools who try to remember the mankind in their origin or in their cosmic seed that lies within every man or every human. And he founded a mystery school in which he taught mathematics, but also saying that mathematics describes principles that are way higher or way more important than this pure mathematic view we teach today. So there are many topics that are connected to him, or even names or words. Did you know that philosophy as a word, or the philosopher, was first named by Pythagoras in this name? Because everyone before said he's wise or wise man, and Pythagoras said, no, I'm a philosopher. Philos means the friend, and Sophia is the goddess of wisdom. So he's a friend of wisdom. Not he is wise, like he is finished, but he's always studying wisdom, or always trying to come closer to wisdomness, realizing that there are much more. There is much more in wisdom to be seen, to understand, and so on. He's also the first man who talked about vegetarian digestion or the vegetarian food, and he talked about reincarnation, and he invited or formed the word cosmos, which means that there is some kind of structure or organizing system behind what we see in the universe. So there was many topics that came from Pythagoras, and even music. Some people remember him from music. We call or we know the Pythagorean comma, which is a little bit too complicated to explain now, but every musician has to know about this comma.
The ancient Greeks I found very fascinating because you are just like myself. You're coming from a very mainstream view, studying physics and studied biotechnology, and that view is very different to history and what the ancient Greeks would teach us. What do you think has changed in our modern education system?
It's maybe a question. What's wrong with German with man's history? Who's guiding or who's owning this planet? And these forces, which I cannot name at the moment because I don't know exactly, but they are trying to hold us in a special direction or in a special space. So they stripped off every holy aspect of every kind of science we found or we had. We were guided only to look at matter and atoms, and not to talk about spirit behind or God and so on. So everything today is turned around, or like 100 degree, we call in Germany. So we say we lost connection to science, we lost connection to the deeper sciences and so on. And that's why I think we've been only taught in this kind of mathematics we have today. Even going deeper, the school system is not meant to make man free or human free. It's meant to make them good customers and good workers, slaves, but not so free people or free-minded.
But luckily, I feel like nowadays we have a lot more people that start to question the current paradigm. Yeah, they start to get more curious about what happened in the past, and it's coming to the surface. Spirituality, in a sense, especially with yoga, it seems to get more and more popular. So I feel like somehow
it's our nature. You cannot take it away, and people feel something. They are looking for it, and so they are constantly searching for this topic or for this meaning behind everything. So we are not lost, I think, or the one who want to control mankind lost mankind, because we are moving on and forming this knowledge or regaining this knowledge.
Yes. So I mean, like, let's say for the curious mind, it's really like there's a lot of knowledge in there, obviously. Yeah, with geometry is so much knowledge. I'm just wondering, like, how do we apply this knowledge, and how can we find use of this ancient knowledge in our modern day?
That's an interesting question. I think first of all you have to study and to draw. Sacred geometry is a knowledge you cannot gain by reading alone, but it's a practical science, which means you have to take your hands and to draw. You have to take the compass, the ruler, and the paper, and meditate while drawing. And it's like an interaction between the drawing and you. And this is a process which won't start with looking at a computer screen or only reading a book. You have to draw this topic you want to draw, you want to explore.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, you see in a lot of the paintings of the great minds of the past, just like Pythagoras or Plato or Archimedes, they all have a drawing compass very often.
Yes, yes, there are the sacred geometry always has been a replication of the main foundation of the universe, and the main foundation is polarity within this universe. So we have male force and female force, or principles, and the male principle is always the straight, the direct, going outside, And the female is the curvy one, going inside. And when you take the compass, you draw circles, which means you are connected to the female way. And when you take the ruler, you are connected to the male way, to the straight, direct way. So this is what's in the symbolism in all these paintings. When they show they have a compass and a ruler in their hands.
Yeah, just like we come from the egg of the mother and the sperm from the father together.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
I like to.
like Downing Street number 10 is not by accident number 10 because you have the womb and the egg. Or in Washington, the main meeting room is the Oval Office. It's the ovum, and you have Washington Monument, the needle or this obelisk, and on summer solstice, the shadow of the monument enters the womb or the Oval Office in Washington. So these founders used this geometry or this symbolism, and they knew everything about it.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of knowledge and meaning behind symbolism. There you are. You're back.
Yes, I changed to another camera. It's not the best picture, but
okay.
you can take it.
Blank studio. So, I mean, obviously, there's a lot of mysticism and there's a lot of spiritual knowledge attached to symbolism. But what I'm also really interested in is more like the scientific approach, right? Because obviously, we both come from that kind of background. What do you think scientists can learn from geometry in that way?
I think they can learn many things. They should stop looking at matter. They should stop looking at all these principles we learned, which were injected in human consciousness, like everything is accident, and there is no God behind this, there is no ruling force, and so on. And when you study geometry and you study nature, then you see there is you cannot study it without the feeling of wonder, to look at this grace, how wonderful everything is formed, what a miracle this body is, what a miracle flower is, and so on. Everything comes out of this geometry, and drawing it and not suppressing my inner feeling, which touches my heart, connects me again to nature. That's what the main topic of every mystery school has been, to connect you to the great mystery behind everything.
Yes.
And not to speculate in your head, but to connect your heart, your whole being, to come back or to remember, to become a member again of the universe.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting because we very often divide things into an objective observation, which is more like science, and then there's a subjective experience, which is obviously totally interlinked with the objective experience. In a lot of your work, you talk a lot about the heart. Why is the heart so important, and what does it have to do with geometry?
I have to introduce another topic from geometry, and it's called the fractal, or the holographic principle. And the fractal means you have some drawing or some pattern which is nested or drawn, like we draw a five-sided pentagon, which we can paint a pentagram or a five-pointed star, and within this five-pointed star you see again another pentagon, and with this within this you can draw another pentagram, and so on. It switches between pentagram, pentagon, and so on. It goes deeper and deeper and deeper, and with this structure is called fractal. And with every small point within this fractal, it knows everything about the whole pattern. So you have a little small dot which is connected to everything around. And yes, wonderful.
It's a very bad one, but I think it kind of presents what you're saying.
That's what I told, that everyone can see it. the main shape of the universe is the torus. It's called like a magnetic field, which is in this way, and you can find it around the Earth. Yes, you can find it like it looks like an apple. You can find it around the Earth, the Sun, every planetary body, every fruit, and even around human. And the strongest toroidal field in man or in human is our heart. And so the universe is structured like a fractal, like toruses within toruses within toruses. And the smallest torus is the heart. And when you go in your heart, in the innermost part, we call it the sacred space or the tiny space, you meet a point in which you are connected directly with the whole universe. So you can go there, and from there you can talk to God, to every planet, to every living being, or even every dead being, because consciousness is everywhere and consciousness is connected everywhere. And so it's much more interesting to study the heart, and also it's not like easy feelings. It's really science to understand your feelings, your innermost feelings, and understand your connection to the universe, to creation, to God, and so on. And you understand all these topics in where science took the wrong direction or the wrong turn, and where we left the sacred path. And going back to the heart is going back to the sacred source of that. So that's why we talk about the heart, and that's why I'm teaching this,
Yes.
trying people to reconnect to that.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. It's also the thing that I think probably a lot of people experience as intuition, no? That kind of.
Yes, maybe, but there are many directions from which intuition can come. The Hawaiian people, the kahunas, are talking about the higher self and the lower self. And to connect to the higher self, you have to connect to the lower self. And the lower self has also some kind of intuition. So sometimes it comes from the lower self, and greater topics can come from the higher self. So you have that's also some kind you have to study who is talking, or from where comes this feeling in the moment, or this wisdom I get.
So let's say this is quite like I feel like very about self-empowerment, really, how we change the mind in terms of listening to the heart. But is there also other applications that are more technological, where you feel like geometry can play a very important part that can enhance our way we see technology, or the way we can enhance our style of living?
Yes, in the first side, you can use it to design your products more harmonically, more in connection with nature or with the principles of nature. And you can use it to nature likes symmetry, nature likes beauty, and so on. So when you structure something in according to the laws of geometry, you get like a business or like a machine or everything. It works better when it's designed according to numbers, meanings of nature. But on the second side, you may understand, or you may come to the conclusion that the way with external technology is some kind of deviation from the original way, which was connected to God. So the main topic is not to make technology better, but to understand what happened to mankind, and to find a way back, maybe to the original.
But it actually has a practical application for beauty, no?
Yes, as I explained it to you. Yes, maybe it's interesting for our audience.
Yeah.
The main one of the main proportions of sacred geometry is the golden mean. So you can see it in my fingers from here to here, which that means is the golden mean. Or when I'm standing myself in the golden mean, you find my navel. And within the face, from the chin to the hairline, which you can see not here, and you divide it in the golden mean, you come to the eyes. Or when you want to design your eyebrows, which some women do, then you can look, they are moving up, have a little turn, and then they go down. And you take the whole length, divide it in the golden mean, you come to this peak here. So beauty is really mathematical, describable, which there's one point we have to say also in this point. The deviation is also part of the formula, because constructing everything exactly according to mathematics makes some kind of beauty, but also it's boring because there is no tension inside. And there also have to be, every time there has to be some kind of tension. So you can take my face, photograph it, and then you mirror it. You see I have two faces with a little deviation. So every man has this little difference between both sides, and they are needed to make attention, or to bring some tension and to bring life in it. So one of my favorite musicians is Leonard Cohen, and he has a song in which he sings, "There's a crack in everything, so the light comes in." And that means there has to be some kind of difference. So it's not fixed, it's not stable, but it's moving, it's constantly struggling with life, but evolving, and not staying on one point.
Yeah, like striving for perfection, but never reaching it, in a sense.
Yes, like philosophy.
Yes.
I'm a friend of Sophia, the goddess of wisdom, but I'm never reaching it. And I'm constantly learning, reconnecting to creation and the whole universe.
Yeah, otherwise we would all look like Lego.
Yes.
So I was just wondering, going through that path of changing your, the things that you've been interested in, how did it change your own perception of life?
In many ways. I started, when I studied physics, I started in looking at machines, principles, and so on. And later on, I learned it has many things to do with myself. So I have to look deeper about my feeling, my connection with everything. And so I found more trust in life, and more trust in beauty. I can see the principles of nature working. At the first sight, it looks strange, but on the long run, beauty wins always. And so I learned to trust my life. I learned to trust universe, and so on.
Yeah, that's really nice.
I found beauty. I found when we had history in school, it was interesting, but there was many connections missing, or I felt there is something. And in studying sacred geometry and sacred science and so on, you get more and more pieces of the puzzle to understand there's a whole other history of mankind, and it's really like a crimi, we say in Germany, a criminal act. To understand what happened here and what happened to mankind, and will they find the way back, or stay connected to season Live on Earth year 2020?
Yeah, I mean, this is actually the big question. I mean, where do you think is humanity heading? Do you think we're on the right track and getting back to a more holistic kind of view? Because that's, I think, what's missing. Well, when you learn school, you learn things all separate. You don't learn it in an interconnected way?
I think if you only rely on newspapers, science, and everything public opinion is talking, or you dive into justice and so on, it's looking really bad at the moment. And without the connection to my heart, without knowing the principles of nature, I would have lost trust in future. It's easy to lose trust in future. But to understand this whole topic deeper, you understand we are on a focus point, on a decision point, in which we as a mankind has to decide which way we go, like destruction or evolution. And I think it's on the outside it's looking not so good at the moment, but on the inside we have a good perspective.
Yes.
I myself, or in Germany, 17 million people have another perspective, because we come from the former GDR, and we know this. We lived in 1989, 1988, and we could not imagine like the reconnection of both parts of Germany and the fall of the wall and so on. It was over our imagination, and within 2 years it happened. And we from former GDR sitting, or sometimes we joking and say, do you made a check on your list? Yes, I made, because everything what's happening now we experienced 30 years ago, like closing the borders, like police criminality and so on. We notice everything. And so we look at this like it's a theater for us, or it's a kind of film to see. Oh, let's see what kind of actor they bring now on the stage and what happens now. But I think at the end the dark forces will lose and the good forces will win. And the only question is in which way they will. But staying connected with the heart, with the life force and so on, gives so much trust. You can be curious how life unfolds, but not about not to be in sorrow about the outcome.
Mm-hmm. And how do you think your work with the Pythagoras Institute, how are you obviously contributing to a brighter future?
Excuse me, can you repeat?
How are you contributing with your work in the Pythagoras Institute? How are you contributing to humanity? And obviously it's something positive, right? So what is it that you feel like you're putting in?
Yes, I'm writing books, I'm giving lectures, I'm giving seminars, I'm teaching people to connect to the heart. 4 years ago, I started internet talk show called Horizons of the Heart, to explain feelings or to give people more connection. We even made a one broadcast 2 years ago, living in chaos, and now we can send it again and say, look, we said it 2 years ago. You can find it everything. And at the same time, I'm using now my insight, my connection to give advice. What can you do within this time? We last week we released about the heuristic situation in Germany, a video which is now over near 50,000 views, and so to give people some insight, what's wrong with the story, what's happening here. Trust, but don't stay at home, don't lean back, but you have to. It's a really important time. You have to stand for your right, you have to stand for your word, and when you do it, the universe is with you, because truth is with you, and the forces of the universe are with you. But you have to do something. You cannot lean back because it's not the time to lean back at the moment.
Mm.
It's on one side it's really critical, on the other side it's looking good, but it's better to do something. And I'm trying to help with my insights, with my intuition also, but also with everything I know, what from old writings, from new writings, from looking around the universe.
Nice, good message. So, I mean, obviously, you've been already in this field very long. I'm just in that field for the last 5 years, which is comparably short. But is there any big discoveries you made yourself that you would like to talk about? I would like to know, actually.
Nothing special from which I would say it's Andreas' law or so, but from where I started to where I'm now, I would say the discovery of the heart is the main topic for what, and I'm constantly searching the heart and experiencing it, but in understanding. When I started, I thought, oh, computer will go better and we will be better in understanding with computers. But connecting to the heart is taking every computers of the world together in one piece. And you have to learn the language of the heart, and then you get some deeper connection, healing connection, and so on. So this is, for me, it's the most important invention or experience in my life to get back my connection to my heart.
But I also feel that it's, when learning geometry, it's really also a lot about the mind. I mean, you're really starting to think in certain ways. The logic starts to be enhanced. The creativity starts to be enhanced. Where do you think people should start? I mean, obviously it goes to the heart, but obviously it's also enhancing the mind. Where should people start learning it? Where should they start?
I think there are many good books at this time about sacred geometry or about drawing, and just take your compass, take a sheet of paper, and start exploring what unfolds. Try to paint, try to draw a pentagon, try to draw a fractal, try to draw spirals, look in nature, and just this basic geometry. And within this, you will see a whole new world unfolding in front of your eyes, which gives you a way deeper understanding how the universe is constructed. Even remembering there is a book, The Beginner's Guide to Constructing the Universe by Michael Schneider, which is one of the basic books you can read, and you find topics, chapters for every number from 1 to 10, and what's inside them, and so on. A book which I can really
recommend. Recommend, yes. So, but you wrote also books yourself.
Yes.
What are they about?
I wrote 3 books and released 3 DVDs in Germany. Unfortunately, only one book is released in English. It's called The Flower of Life Resides in You. And it's a distillation of the sacred geometry which Dornwallow gave. And in this book, you can find many basic drawings. You can use it also as a map to walk through sacred geometry, like how started creation, what came then, and what then, and so on. So you can start studying geometry with this little book, which I really recommend. And I wrote it with all what I have in my heart. And I wrote a book about the Merkaba, which is our light body. Then I wrote a book about the heart. It's called in Germany the awakened heart. So why do I have to connect my heart. And when I'm doing where do I have to look? Some people heard about the inner child. Some people heard about the ancestry or the family. And these are all parts we have to call back or to integrate in our life to get back to the river of life, to get back my force, my energy, and my wisdom. So that's what I wrote.
Nice. Sounds really good. Okay. I'm actually quite through with all the questions that I wanted to ask you, except the hot 5 questions. Are you ready for that?
Yeah.
I asked this everyone because I just want to see, what
But
people
I
answer.
only had to answer one question, or do I have
all of them. You have to answer all of them. So the hot 5 is basically, what do you believe came first, mind or matter?
Mind or consciousness.
Consciousness, yes.
Yeah.
Cool. What do you resonate more with, science or philosophy?
Both. Sometimes philosophy and sometimes science. And then I'm trying to connect them, staying in the middle. And what do you say? What do you say? Okay, let's talk together.
Absolutely. I feel this is what we're doing as well. It's called, we call it metaphysics, because it's kind of physics and what's meta, and then it's kind of together, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Coming from the ancient Greeks as well. Okay, so what do you like more, geometry or music?
You cannot differentiate between geometry and music. They are the same. So,
good answer.
This question is wrong.
Okay. And do you think that the universe came out of chaos or a divine blueprint?
Neither. I think there is a divine consciousness which created this universe with some basic principles and stepped aside and looked at what's unfolding. So it's not chaos, but it's not no plan. It's just an experiment to look, let's see what happens. And sometimes we start in another geometry, or we even started in another geometry, or parallel, we create universes in other geometries. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's not neither of these or that.
Okay. And so last question. That's just a kind of a weird question, and I know that. But what do you like more, a sphere or a cube?
You know my answer. Sure. I think the sphere is a nice object to hold, but the cube is also a nice object.
Yes.
I cannot.
It's kind of, it's like choosing between feminine and male, isn't it? It's both important.
Yes, or yeah, they both belong together. You cannot have the one thing without the other, and so.
That's nice. That's a beautiful answer. Okay. Yeah, I'm unfortunately there's a little bit of a technical kind of a weirdness going on today, but I really enjoyed that interview. Is there anything else you would like to share?
Trust. Stay connected with your heart. Speak truth. Trust the universe, the future, and there's a big force in walking your talk, or speaking from the heart and doing from your heart, and so on. And this can change the world for everyone and for yourself. So start in your life to connect to your heart, to work, to talk, to see from your heart, and see how a whole another world unfolds when you go this way.
Beautifully said.
So I can say, do it.
Very nice. Thank you very much, Andreas, for this enlightening interview. For the audience, there is a lot of the stuff is online actually. If you're speaking German, even better, because then yeah, you can understand what you're saying. But he's got some stuff in English. I posted it as well on the link, so you can check out his book in English. And there's a presentation as well that is in English, or translated in English. And the Pythagoras Institute, obviously online. So with that said, next week,
when you want to see me number, you can invite me and then I come to you and
yes,
talk some deeper stuff.
Absolutely. I'm sure you got a lot of things to share in 25 years. Yeah, English, German. And anyway, the language of geometry is, you know, beyond cultures, time and space. Actually space, but.
Yeah, even without words, I can show you a picture and you will understand.
Everyone, I wish you a great day. And I hope I see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.